Good evening, everyone. My name is Mrs. Molly Edwards, and we're here tonight to just share some information about our school and talk to you a little bit about the process going forward. So before we dive in, I'd like to introduce our school minister, Father Dalton, who's going to lead us in a prayer this evening, and then we'll begin our info session.
Okay, there I am. Well, good evening, everyone. Each day we start our school with a prayer. So it kind of gives us a focus for the day. So it's appropriate that we start this information session with a prayer as well. So in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Our reading is from St. Paul's letter to the Philippians. Rejoice in the Lord always. I say it again, rejoice. Your kindness should be known to all. The Lord is near. Have no anxiety at all, but in everything by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, make your requests known to God. And the peace of God that surpasses all understanding will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Let us pray. Oh God, you know us better than we know ourselves. Guide us throughout our time of transition. Empower each one of us to use our unique gifts to create a beautiful life, to share openly and honestly our thoughts, to respect the opinions of others, and to encourage humility, patience, and joy. Instill in us a vision of the life you intend us to lead. Guided by your Holy Spirit, we will be united in love and joyful accomplish our personal mission through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So I'll stop that share and turn it back to Mrs. Edwards.
Thank you, Father Dalton. And so again, I'm Mrs. Edwards. I'm the Director of Enrollment here. And just to get started, we just wanted to say, first of all, how sorry all of us were to hear of the closures of both Hallahan and McDevitt. It's never something we like to see. While we love talking to prospective students, this certainly isn't the reason why we'd like to be doing it. So please know that you're in our prayers. Our hearts are with you as you navigate this. And our goal through all of this is just to make this process as easy as possible for you. We know it's a lot to take on, and we hope we can at least make the transition seamless and easy on you as you navigate the rest of the feelings around what's going on with the two schools. So what we're going to be doing tonight, we will talk a little bit about what you can expect from life at Newman-Goretti, what it's like to be a student here, what we have going on. We'll talk about academics, student life. We'll talk about financial aid and scholarships. I know that's something that's on a lot of people's minds. And we'll go through the transfer process, what needs to be done if this is the school where you'd like to go next year. At the end of the session, we will do Q&A. Please feel free at any time to use the Q&A box to submit a question. We'll look at those as we go. And joining us tonight, of course, our school minister, Father Dalton, our president, Mr. Joe McColgan, our principal, Mr. Hugh Quigley, our assistant principal for academics, Mrs. Muto, and myself. We'll each be talking about various things tonight. And we really look forward to sharing with you. So just a few reminders, use that Q&A tool to submit questions. We may not answer your question right when you submit it, but we do promise to answer or find an answer eventually for every question that you submit. And please remember, this is new for us too. We have never gone through a school closure before with another high school, so we're navigating this as well. We really appreciate your patience as we work to make this transition as efficient and seamless as possible. Know that we are working really hard to make this work for you. And just another note, we are recording the session, so it will be available on our website later this week if you want to refer back to it. If you have friends who weren't able to make it, for any reason you want to watch it again, we will share that with you. And from here, I'd like to introduce Mr. Quigley, our principal, to talk a little bit about what to expect from life at Newman-Goretti.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Edwards, and thank you, Father Dalton, for starting us off this evening and with a prayer and for framing our event for our Hallahan and McDevitt families that are exploring Newman-Goretti as an option for their continued high school education. Thank you for joining us. First, with Father Dalton, I'd like to just say that as a school community, we're very blessed to have a Oblate of St. Francis as our school minister for the last 3 years and moving forward. So at New McGrady, please know that spirituality and Catholic identity are at the core and center of everything we do. And we begin and end always with that in mind. We do offer monthly liturgies, including masses, prayer services, and the sacrament of reconciliation, annual class retreats for each class. We've built a program over the last couple of years where we're visiting shrines throughout the Philadelphia area at different grade levels, such as the St. John Newman Shrine, the Shrine of the Miraculous Medal, and the National Shrine of St. Rita on South Broad Street. And Father Dalton is not the only role model at New McGrady for vocations. We also have Sisters of St. Joseph and Immaculate Heart of Mary that are administrators and work in our offices. And we have a Mercedarian brother that teaches Spanish for us as well. We do have role models for different religious vocations with us every day, and as role models for the students. Also in the area of Catholic identity, we do require community service, and we built that program recently over the last few years. And of course, the pandemic has altered how much community service or the type of community service we do at this time. But in general, every student completes 14 hours of community service on their own time outside of school. And we're really proud of, like, as a school, we could say that pushes us towards practically over 7,000 hours when you times that by the student body. So just a little bit about, I want to tell you a little bit about New McGrady. Some of you may know New McGrady, and you may have attended either Newman or Goretti, or have had other siblings attend here, or you're from South Philadelphia, or you've just heard of New McGrady. So I'd like to take a little bit of this opportunity to tell you from our perspective of what we think New McGrady is about, and exploring our school. So if you wouldn't mind a little trip, a short history, very condensed. So the present co-educational St. John Newman and Maria Goretti Catholic High School was formed in 2004, along with its predecessors, which are St. Maria Goretti High School for Girls, Southeast Catholic Bishop Newman, and St. John Newman High School for Boys. Altogether, over 85 years of Catholic education located in South Philadelphia. In addition to religious orders that have, and diocesan priests that have staffed, and Norbertines that have staffed the schools, the legacy schools throughout the years. Of course, we also have, a large complement of lay teachers at this time. But the traditions and foundation by those various religious orders and diocesan priests and Norbertines are the foundation and continue to influence our culture at New McGrady. Our current campus is located between 11th and 10th Streets and at the intersection of Moore. We don't span the whole block. We're very close to the business district of Passyunk Avenue. And we love the neighborhood where our school resides. We think it's a great place to come to learn, because we think there's much to learn in the surrounding community. It's a very dynamic neighborhood, has a little bit of everything. We strive to advance the tradition of service to the community by cultivating an atmosphere of continuous growth and improvement. And this is what I think New McGrady is, what it's really about, and what I hope makes it an attractive option for you as you explore your transition to a new high school. Newman Goretti, and I'm not going to shy away from this, is the only high school in our Archdiocese system that has experienced continuous growth in enrollment over the last approximately 5 years. We've had about 20% growth overall in that time. Sorry, about 6 years. Also, the Archdiocese Parent Survey that you would have had the opportunity, parents on the webinar tonight, to fill out. We have the highest parent engagement on that survey. So, we have the highest return rate of surveys, and we hope that that shows that we're a community that listens and values what our parents have to say, and that do our best to take action with the feedback that we're given. And at a minimum, the core, I hope that that's what that means, is that I won't fill out a survey if I didn't think anybody was going to read it. We often get high marks for communication and for technology integration consistently on that survey year over year. Okay, in the spirit of growth that I believe is Newman Goretti, over probably about the last 5 or 6 years, we've partnered with a multitude of outside organizations to enhance what Newman Goretti has to offer. For about 4 years, we've partnered with an academic consultant called the New Teacher Project. During that time, that work was grant funded. During that time, our leadership was trained as instructional coaches and professional deliverers of professional development, in addition to the training that we go through with the Archdiocese, and worked closely with our teachers. And we believe it's had a real impact on our curriculum and the outcomes for our students. We also partner with the Alliance for Catholic Education at St. Joseph's University, and which places graduate student teachers in our building. We usually have about 2 on staff every school year, and we're proud of that partnership because it gives us another dynamic way to add to our staff and add to our course options, because we're bringing in extra teachers in a creative way. So those are just some things that I wanted you to know about Newman Goretti, about how we have a spirit of growth, and hope that that's kind of culture that you would be interested in immersing yourself into going forward. Our current student body is racially, ethnically, religiously, and socioeconomically diverse. I've been working in the system for about 10 years. I have access to the numbers, and I know that we're one of the few schools that are diverse in this many ways in one school, and we see that as a strength. And when you go on our website, you'll see our mission statement and core values. You'll see diversity weaved through that as a theme that runs throughout, who we believe that we are and what we find to be a major strength, and identifies us as a school. Quickly, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. I figured sometimes you just, I often say when I'm checking something out, right, I want to know who's the leadership, right? So for myself, my name's Hugh Quigley. I'm a graduate of St. John Newman High School, class of 1996. And then I moved on to Drexel University, actually earned a degree in civil engineering and worked in that field for about 8 years. From South Philadelphia, a graduate of Epiphany of Our Lord Grade School, and I still lived in that neighborhood. And so I live close to school, for me, myself, one of the reasons I'm invested in the position as principal of the school is that I really believe in the school's value to the immediate and expanded neighborhood and all of Philadelphia. I think it's a place where students can come to learn and grow, no matter who they are, and that we can help them get where they want to go. It's really meaningful work to me, and living in Philadelphia and really close to the school, personally, it's easy to get invested in that. So it's what keeps me motivated every day. So just a little bit about myself. After I worked in engineering, I changed careers to a math teacher. Was lucky to find my first job as a substitute at Newman-Goretti, and really fell in love with the place, with the students, the school, the culture, and really blessed to be a part of that in various roles, from teacher to assistant principal to principal over the last, it'll be 11 years at the end of this month. So it's been a great experience for me personally, and I love all the students and families that have gotten to meet over that time, and hope that I was able to help a lot of those people along the way. So that's a little bit about me and my take on who we are, Newman-Goretti, and I hope that was helpful to give you a little insight as you're going through this time and exploring options and making big decisions already in a challenging time in everybody's lives. So appreciate your time with us tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Quigley. I would just like to jump on what Mr. Quigley said. He mentioned that we frequently get really high ratings in communication, and I would say that's a direct result of Mr. Quigley's leadership. As he mentioned, he's had a bunch of different roles in administration at the school, and I've noticed myself, just as a staff member, that he really makes a point to respond to everyone in a timely manner. He's always responding to teachers, to students, to families. And I think it's sort of a unique thing in an administrator to be so available and responsive and just involved in the school. He knows every student. And I had a question come through. Someone asked, what's the size of the student body and the student teacher ratio? We are just around 500 students. That number fluctuates each year, but we're generally around 500. It's a really nice number. I know those of you from Hallahan, it's not too far off of what your school size is, but it is a little larger. But I imagine one of the things you like about being at a smaller school is that you really get to know each other. You get to know your teachers. You feel known. You're never just a number or a face in the crowd. And while our school is slightly larger, it maintains that same feel. It really does feel like a community, like a place where you're known. Your principal will know you. Your teachers will know you. You can't get lost in the crowd here. It's a place where you can be known. You can find your place. You can really grow as a student. And we're very proud of that. And the student teacher ratio, that's actually set by the Archdiocese. So it's right around 22-1. What you'll find is in the lower grades, like 9th and 10th, you'll have classes that are more around 25 students, just because students tend to be taking all of the same courses. As you get to 11th and 12th grade, you're specializing more. There's more electives available. There's more courses to choose from. So those classes tend to vary. They could be smaller, they could be larger. But in general, the ratio is about 22-1. And that's pretty standard across the Archdiocese. I don't know, Hugh, did you want to add on to that at all about the student teacher ratio?
Yeah, so I think the number you gave is realistic, middle of the road. I think I always encourage parents to student teacher ratio can be advertised in a lot of different ways. And I think what people are really asking is, like, when I'm in class, how many kids are in there, right? When schools report out student teacher ratio, you'll often get, well, I have this many adults in the building that teach a class, and I have this many kids, and and I divide them. And that's your ratio. And I think what Molly reported is a more accurate representation, and that it varies from grade level to grade level. So a very transparent answer is class size can go up to like 30, sometimes in a core class. And I think at Newman-Goretti, we have a really strong track record. It's been one of our, part of like our work, I would say, especially over the past 5 or 6 years, is to we have a decent amount of teachers that we ask to teach 6 classes and they agree to that, just to get class size down. And you don't see that at every archdiocese in high school. So I would say our classes range from I would say mid 20s is a decent expectation for a core class. And then once you get special into like electives, like it really does vary from smaller to larger. But classes never get bigger than about 30, worst case scenario.
Thanks, Mr. Quigley.
Mhm.
And we're going to turn it over now to Mrs. Muto, our assistant principal for academics, just to talk to you a little bit about our course offerings, what to expect from an academic perspective, and what that transition will look like coming from Hallahan or McDevitt to Newman-Goretti.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Mrs. Edwards. As she said, I'm Mrs. Muto. I am the assistant principal for academic affairs at Newman-Goretti. As Mr. Quigley said, I think it's important for you to know the people at Newman-Goretti. So just a little bit about myself. I'll be quick before I get into the academics of it all. But I've been at Newman-Goretti for 6 years. This is my first year as assistant principal. I previously was the English teacher in English teacher at Newman-Goretti. I started teaching here in 2015. My family priest called me up, and I was right out of Penn State, and he called me and he was like, I have this school in South Philly and they're doing something new there, and I want you to check it out. I was immediately really interested. As it turns out, it's like Mr. Quigley said, it was when they were working with the new teacher project. And so I got the job, and I'm not from South Philadelphia. I'm from an hour away. If you went to Shady Brook to see the lights over the holiday season, I'm right around that area. And so I would go and I'd travel up and down 95 each day and make that commute. But I just fell in love with the school really instantly. The students there and the parents there and the other teachers, they really welcomed me. And, like I said, I'm not from South Philly. I actually went to Archbishop Wood, the rival of Newman-Goretti. But I just was able to make it my home here. I got really involved with student council and with our dance marathon. And it ended up, I love it so much. I mean, I grew here as an educator and as a person. I've continued my career here as an assistant principal. And a few years ago when I got married, and my husband, he asked me, we started looking for houses. He said, where do you want to live? I was like, South Philly, of course. I moved to the area because I love this school so much. And I'm just so dedicated to really seeing it grow, like Mr. Quigley said. And I'm just so proud to work here. I've really enjoyed my experience. So that's just a little bit about me, but now I'll get into the academics of it all. Let me share my screen. Excuse me. Okay, so I just want to share with you a little bit about what we have to offer this year at our school and just kind of preview some things for you, what you can expect. It's really nice within the Archdiocese. Actually, a lot of our schools, we have the same expectations from school to school, but I just want to show you some things that are unique to Newman-Goretti. So at Newman-Goretti, we have 3 levels of classes. So we have our advanced placement classes, or AP. We have honors, and we have college prep. So our 3 levels, we feel it allows our students to be exposed to grade level work with a wider range of their classmates. At your current school, you might have a 4th level right here, an academic level. We choose at Newman-Goretti to have a larger college prep level instead of breaking that down into 2 separate levels. And like I said, the reason behind this is because we want students all to be exposed to grade level work. And we feel with that larger college prep group that it allows you to meet students, that maybe aren't at the same academic ability as you, and learn from them and teach them, and really allow students to collaborate with one another. Also at Newman-Goretti, we work to ensure that students have a full roster. So that's all 7 classes. And we feel that just builds a more competitive roster for our students, which really helps them as they're applying for colleges. So I'm just going to run through our courses a little bit just within the different levels. And like Ms. Edwards said, please feel free to use the chat to ask any questions. So we have a number of in-person AP classes at school. So here's some examples of our AP classes. We have AP Physics and Bio, Calculus, AP Studio Art, AP US History, Language and Composition, and AP Literature. So we have all of our teachers go to the College Board AP Institute, and they all are trained in the AP classes. And so we offer in person, but we also offer online. We work with Edusteer and AVLI, which are programs that some of you may already be familiar with from your school. So the nice thing about the online program is you really get to customize it to yourself. So right now we have students that are, enrolled in these classes, but you'll notice, AP Music Theory, there's only one student enrolled in that class. It's because we're really able to personalize each student's roster and fit the needs of each of our students within those AP online classes. We also offer dual enrollment at our school. So dual enrollment, if you're unfamiliar with that program, what that means is students are earning credit for their high school class, but also for their college class. So right now our students are currently enrolled in Manor College, Newman University, LaSalle University, Villanova University, and Drexel University. At Manor College and Newman University, our programs, these schools, typically the teachers will come to Newman Greddy and you're in a class just with other high school students, with other Newman Greddy students. So obviously this year they're not coming, they're all virtual for these classes, but it is just with other high school students. And here's some examples of what they're taking. These classes do change from year to year, but we typically try to keep them within computer science, criminal justice, and then general electives so that we're really tailoring it to students' needs for what they would like to do in college. We also have students at Villanova, Drexel, and LaSalle. So this is a different type of dual enrollment. So students have to qualify for these classes, and they're actually going to the universities and learning with college students. So these are some examples of classes that students are taking. And again, this is subject to change. Students really get to choose what they're taking at those schools because they get to choose, with their advisor at the college. However, both the advisors at Newman Greddy and at the college level are really involved with the students and help them choose what's really going to be best for them in the future. I also know at your current school, many students are involved in the program with Community College of Philadelphia. And we just want to know that Newman Greddy is very committed to continuing those programs and courses and offering them to students. We also offer a number of honors courses, right? I'm not going to read them all to you, but you'll see we offer honors courses in almost all of our subjects and in many of our electives. So it really allows students to continue their education and kind of challenge themselves. One thing I'm also very proud of is our support classes and programs. So at Newman Greddy, we do have a resource room offered to students who attest into that classroom. We also offer math support classes. So it's almost like a double math class where it's a separate class that students are able to go to and kind of differentiate their learning and ask questions in a smaller group. We also offer after school tutoring, National Honor Society peer tutoring. All of our teachers, like I said, I'm so proud of our teachers. Our teachers all offer after school office hours. They're really committed to helping their students learn. And also, I always like to boast about our guidance department. I feel our guidance department does a really great job, not only with applying to colleges and that sort of thing, but really just helping the students on a day-to-day basis and stay organized and stay mindful of their studies and stay on top of what they need to get done. We also have a number of in-person electives. So, there's a number that students can choose from. And they can, for example, Spanish and Italian, a 2-credit requirement at Newman Greddy, but we offer that up to levels 3 and 4 that students can continue to build that competitive roster as they move on to college. And we also, if you're into fine arts, we have Studio Art 2 and 3, along with their AP courses, Symphony, Orchestra, Chorus. So a number of different classes that students can choose from. Our graduation requirements, to make this very seamless, it's pretty much the same from classes or from each school. Just a few differences to note at Newman Greddy. We do have a 2 credit requirement for world language. However, we really do encourage students to go onto a 3rd level if you would like to go to college. We also offer health and physical education, or both half-credit courses. Students typically take them within a year, so it ends up being, health 1st semester and gym the 2nd semester. And fine arts is also a full year course at Newman Granny. Okay. And I just wanted to assure all of our parents and our students, we understand that this is a huge decision that you're being asked to make, and we're very mindful of that. And we are working with the Office of Catholic Education to make registering and course selection as seamless as possible for students and parents. We know, like I said, that is a very big decision, and we want to be there to support you and really help the students the best we can, and make this a seamless transition. We would also like to personally meet with our students and our parents to kind of personalize a finalized roster and really meet the needs of each individual student. That's something we take the care to do, in the summer with all of our students, and we really want to extend that to all of you as well. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Thanks, Mrs. Muto. I'm going to go ahead and share mine. And we have had a few questions come through, and some of them are things we'll be addressing as we go. So if we don't answer your question right away, just know we've seen it and we will answer it before the end of the session. We'd also like to talk a little bit about student life. So I think Mrs. Muto really covered our academic offerings, and we're really proud of them. Our students get so much out of their academic experience. It sets them up for really wonderful opportunities in college and beyond. But there's so much more to life here at Newman Goretti than just what happens in the classroom. And I personally have found that to be one of the hardest things about school this year in the age of COVID, is that we are used to this lively, excited building where the kids are here. The bell rings at the end of the day and the kids stay and they're doing activities and sports and clubs and events. And it's been really strange not to have all of that this year. And I really look forward to when that all comes back as soon as we possibly can. So things you can look forward to outside of the classroom. We're really proud of our fine arts program. Some of those are courses that you would take during the school day, but they just add to students' experiences. Our orchestra is one of the largest in the Archdiocese, which I think is significant because we are one of the smaller schools in the Archdiocese. So a huge percentage of our students participate in orchestra. They do a beautiful job. We have a new orchestra director as of last year. He's done amazing things with the program. He's actually created both an advanced symphony orchestra and a beginner orchestra, so students can come in at different levels, learn an instrument if they haven't played one before, or really hone their craft and learn different instruments if they're already experienced. Same goes for chorus and for studio art. Those are all things students can take all 4 years. In studio art, they can go up to college level courses, and it's just a really wonderful way to add to our life here. We love our spring and our Christmas concerts. They're things that students love to go to. It's just a nice thing to bring everyone together. In terms of athletics, we have quite a few sports. I will share them with you. We have cheerleading, cross country, football, soccer, volleyball, basketball, track and field, baseball, softball. We have a rich history of competitive athletics. Some of our programs are extremely competitive, in particular, basketball, football, baseball, track and field, all have won championships at the city, state, and Catholic League level over the last few years. They're really strong programs. Many of our kids do go on to play in college. What we're proud of is that within the athletic program, everyone is a student first. That's the most important part. Our coaches know that, teachers know that, administrators know that, and that means the students know it. So our students who do participate in athletics get this wonderful experience of a top-notch academic experience while also being part of a really competitive athletic program. And it sets them up nicely for college, where we and they understand that you can't get into college on athletics alone. You have to get in based on your academics, and then you can play sports. So they complement each other nicely. One thing we do want to just point out is our cheerleading squad does start tryouts in March. I imagine there are many girls from both Hallahan or McDevitt who might be interested in cheerleading. You do need to be registered for next year in order to try out. So if that's something you're interested in, just keep that in mind as you're making your decision. Tryouts typically happen in March. There is a cheer camp in the summer that all of the girls participate in. So they like to finalize the squad ahead of that so that everyone can participate. And then one other note about cheer is it is a spirit cheer team, not a competitive team. So we do stunts, we do dances, they cheer at the games. The season pretty much goes from the start of the school year through mid-March through the end of the basketball season. They work really hard. They practice a ton. They're at tons of games and competition and, you know, athletic competitions, but they don't compete against other cheer squads. So just something to keep in mind if that's something you're interested in. Outside of athletics and arts, we have so many student clubs at all different levels. We have ones that are a little more intense and that you have to apply to and that look really nice on your college applications, things like our National Honor Society and Student Council, ambassadors. These are all really cool activities where students can gain leadership positions. And then we also have a ton of clubs where kids can just get together with like-minded students and share interests. Things like our crochet club, our culinary club, chess. We've had things like Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, so many. We have a Saints Philanthropy Club. They put together community service events to help students fulfill those hours. We have had a debate team. We have a cultural diversity club where students come together to learn about different cultures and share all of that information with the student body, which is especially important at Newman-Goretti, where we do have such a diverse student body. That's just some of, we have a Spanish club, we have an Italian American club. There are just so many, and we add every year. It's really based on student interest. So if you want to add a club, we're always open to that idea. If you can find other students who would like to be a part of it. The club list changes every year based on what students want to do, but there are so many ways to get involved. Just about any student would say, join at least one club at Newman-Goretti. It will really enrich your experience here. And then in terms of events, there are tons of events to round out the school year. We have dances, you know, you have your proms, we have homecoming, which is for all grades, both the homecoming game and the homecoming dance at school. We do our Christmas tree lighting every year. We always send students to the March for Life. We have, you know, we've had talent shows, we've had different events in the auditorium where students come together. And then for seniors, we have quite a few special tradition events. We have our ring mass in the fall. We have the senior masquerade ball. We have senior prom, the luncheons with fathers and mothers, and so many other special events. We do want to talk a little bit about the ring mass. Our ring mass is held in the fall of senior year. One of the special traditions we have is that you can bring your Newman-Goretti ring if you've purchased one, but if you haven't, you can bring any piece of jewelry that you would like blessed. So it is an opportunity for any member of the senior class to participate, to bring a piece of jewelry that's meaningful to them, to have blessed and participate in that with their class. And it's always followed by a ring dance shortly after to celebrate the start of the senior year. It's a really special tradition here at Newman-Goretti that those of you who are coming into senior year, we hope can participate in. And we really are committed, especially those of you coming into senior year. We know that is a hard thing to do, that you've spent 3 years, you know, building a life at your current school, getting involved, making memories, meeting people. And we don't take that lightly that you are now changing to a brand new school with brand new people. And it's really important to us that if you choose to come to Newman-Goretti, we can help make you feel like you are a full member of the Newman-Goretti community, that you participate in all of the special traditions, that you are one of us, that you're part of the Newman-Goretti family, and that you really do feel at home here. With that said, we also want to honor the legacies of your two schools of Hallahan and McDevitt. There are so many special things that you've created there, not just you, but the many alums who have come before you. And we want to work with you, with your parents, with people coming in to make sure that we honor those legacies and traditions and find ways to interweave them with the things that we already have in place here. So know that that's something we want to work with. We want to partner with you on to make sure that we're both helping you become full members of the Newman-Goretti community while at the same time being mindful of the legacies and special things that you've been looking forward to at your current school. And before I pass it on to Mr. McColgan, anything else, Mr. Quigley or Mrs. Muto, that you wanted to add about student life? Wonderful. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Mr. McColgan to talk about scholarships and financial aid, which I know are top of mind for many of you.
Thank you, Mrs. Edwards. I apologize in advance that my camera's not working, so you can't see me, so forgive me. I'm Joe McColgan, and I'm the president of Newman Grady, and I took over the role in August of 2017. First, as others have said, we can only assume what you and your family have gone through these past few weeks with the announcement of the closure of your school. We know it's heartbreaking, and we know that we cannot put ourselves in your shoes and feel what you're feeling. There's not much we can say to make it less painful. But what we can promise you is that whether or not you choose to come to Newman Grady, we're here to help you along the way and to help you in any way we can to make the best decision that is in your best interest, not mine, not our leadership team, not the school, not the Archdiocese. So we're here to help you, to provide you with as much information as needed to make the choice that is best for you. So don't be shy, ask questions, and feel free to reach out at any point to any of us in the future. A little bit about my background. I'm born and raised in the northeast section of Philly. Though my mother is from Elizabeth and Rittner, and my father is from 30th and Tasker. I'm a product of Catholic education from grade school through grad school. I have an undergraduate degree and MBA from Villanova, and a master's degree in educational leadership from St. Joseph's University. After graduating from Villanova, I was commissioned an officer in the United States Navy and spent 5 years in Coronado, California, just outside of San Diego. My wife, Maria, is a pediatrician, and she's from Nathan Ellsworth. And believe it or not, my great-grandparents lived on the property on the southeast corner of 10th and Moore. I have still have family in the neighborhood. And now, if you're familiar with the school itself, there's a statue of St. Maria Goretti on the school property overlooking 10th Street. I didn't know this until I got here, but my great-grandmother bought that for the school in 1958. I'm not telling you all this to try to impress you, but rather to impress upon you that we, this team, along with the faculty, are committed not only to our students, their families, our faculty and staff, but the community as well. As you've heard from others, we all have roots in the community, and to be honest, it is our obsession to strive to make Newman Grady the finest academic institution in the city of Philadelphia. And we know that that's an awfully big objective to strive for. But to be honest with you, we are definitely moving in that direction. What you see on the screen is a great leadership team. They're very committed to the faculty, the staff, the students, and the community itself. Okay, I'm here to answer your questions regarding tuition, financial aid, and scholarships. And I'm certain you have many questions to ask. So let me see if I can jump ahead and try to answer some of the more obvious ones. But again, if you have that specific question, feel free to type it into the chat or the Q&A at the bottom of the screen, and we'll do our best to answer it. Okay, so what is the cost of educating a student at Newman Grady? Next year, the tuition will be the same as this year, $8,150. I did not raise the tuition for 21-22. However, I did raise the school fee by $150. So all in next year is $8,300. If you play a sport, obviously there are fees associated with your participation in that sport. If you're taking an AP course, there are fees associated with taking that test as well, as Mrs. Muto had said. And if you would like an unofficial list of the fee amounts, registration, graduation, etc., reach out and I'll get that to you. And I say unofficial because our budgets for next year have not yet been signed off on. I know a question about scholarships from Hallahan or McDevitt. Will they follow you? And the answer to that question is yes. All scholarships, whether they be from Hallahan or McDevitt or from an outside organization such as McGuire or Connolly, will be honored here at Newman Grady. And if you're a recipient of a Howley scholarship, I know the Office of Catholic Education is having conversations with them regarding their scholarships coming over. And I expect that to happen. We have not received the official word that it has. Let me just go back one thing. I think I made a mistake on the full tuition. It's not $8,300. It'll be $9,400. I didn't add in the academic fees. Will I be eligible for financial aid? Of course, nothing has changed. The drill is the same. But you must reapply through fax. And let me say that again, you must reapply through fax. Without a completed application in fax, I will not offer any financial aid to any student. So it's very important that you complete that application. Not knowing how your current school figured financial aid and the aid we offer you could be more, or it might even be less. We are consistent across the school. We have a formula in place and we're not deviate from that formula. So again, it's all based upon what we see in the facts application. In conclusion, if you have any tuition or financial aid questions, again, please go to chat, do the Q&A at the bottom of your screen, type it in. We'll see if we can answer it tonight. If not, you feel free to call the school. That's where our tuition officer, Denise Arigale, who can walk you through the process and answer any of your questions. Denise is well-versed on the tuition side and use her as a resource. Again, I thank you for your time this evening. Do not hesitate to reach out. We're here to help you to make the best decision that's in your best interest. So be well, be safe, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McColgan. Let's see. Someone asked, does the school offer academic scholarships? Yes, we do offer academic scholarships. And Mr. McColgan, correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is if you have an academic scholarship at your current school, we will honor that. But I don't believe we'll be offering new academic scholarships to transfer students.
Correct.
And okay, so I want to talk a little bit about what are your next steps. So if, I know this is a big decision. It's a huge decision. It's one that none of you were expecting to have to make this year, which I know makes it even harder, but it is one that you have to make. And so we would love for you to join us at Newman Goretti. One thing I really love about this school, to give you a little bit of background, I grew up in New Jersey, pretty much right across the Delaware River from Mrs. Muto. I went to Catholic school from preschool all the way through college. My first time not at a Catholic school was when I got my master's, and it was my least favorite of all my education experiences. It hammered home that I love Catholic school. And after teaching for a little bit in public schools, I worked in nonprofits, I found my way back to Catholic schools, and I was so excited. I actually live in the neighborhood about 2 blocks from the school. And I remember when we bought our house, I was so excited that we lived near a Catholic high school. It reminded me of the Catholic school I went to in New Jersey. And I was even more excited when a job opened up there that fit something I thought I could do. And that was 4 years ago. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. I love it here at Newman Goretti. I would echo what all of our administrators have said. It is just a place where you can feel welcome, you can feel at home. For students, I think something that's really special here is it's a place really for anyone. There's, whether you are into, whether you're all about your academics and your goal is to go to a top university, whether you're an artist, an athlete, someone who just wants to be really involved in everything, there is a place for you here. You can chart your path. You can make a path for yourself here. There's not one way to be a Newman Goretti student, but we all share that love and pride in our school. So it's a special place to be, and we would love for you to join us here, and we want to help you make this decision, which we know is even more challenging in the age of COVID, where you can't come shadow and do the normal visits, but hopefully we're giving you the information, and we want to continue working with you to get you all the information you need. So in terms of applying to Newman Goretti, many of you have already submitted an application online. If you haven't, that is probably the most important step. Go on our website, go to the admissions page, fill out the application. It shouldn't take you more than 15 minutes to complete, but we need it on file in order to continue with the enrollment process. We'll need a copy of your first quarter report card from this year. If you have one, you can upload it right to your application. You can email it to me. If you don't have one, ask your current admissions director. So that would either be Ms. Gerhardt or Ms. Aguiar, who can get that to you, and they can either send it to me or pass it on to you, but we need that report card. If you have it, this isn't required at this point, but it's really helpful to us if you could also give us your final report card from last year. That will just help us with the course selection process. We'll need it eventually, so if you have it now, just send it along now so that we have it. It would be a huge help. And then, like Mr. McColgan said, we do need your financial aid application if you would like to be considered for aid. So if you've already filled out a FAFSA application, if you were on top of everything and did it in the fall for Hallahan or for McDevitt, you can just call FAFSA, call their customer service line and tell them you want to add Newman Goretti to your application. They can do that really quickly for you. Unfortunately, we can't do that for you. We can only see your application if we're one of the schools you've selected. So ask FAFSA to do that for you if you've already applied. If you haven't done your fax application, please make sure you do that as soon as possible so that we can make sure we consider your application when we're making financial aid decisions for next year. As long as you've done your application to Newman Goretti, send in your first quarter report card, we will send you the link to register. There's a $100 registration fee, the same as you would have paid to re-register for next year at your current school. That fee is due by February 19th. I know that may seem like a quick turnaround. The reason we would like to do that is because, one, we don't want you to stress about this decision any more than necessary. Two, we want to make sure that you are included in course selection for next year in a timely manner. We don't want you having to take whatever courses are available because the current Newman Goretti students have already done course selection. We want you to go through course selection with our students so you have a fair shot at all of the same classes so that we can get you the best roster possible. So the goal date for enrollment at Newman Goretti for next year is February 19th. If for any reason you need more time, please talk to me. We want to work with you. We don't want to rush you on this decision. We want to make sure it's the right decision, but we also want to make sure you have plenty of time to really fully prepare for next year, go through course selection, go through all the summer work, get everything done that you need to do so that you're ready to go in September and don't feel like you're behind or trying to catch up. So that's the reason for that somewhat soon registration deadline. And again, if it's an issue, please just talk to us. We want to work with you. And that really is it in terms of enrollment for next year. So I think from there, we have quite a few questions and we'll just go through them. If you have other questions, put them in the Q&A or the chat and we will address them. So one question that came through the chat, someone said that Hallahan has a big sister program that's been an important tradition. Is that something we would incorporate at Newman Goretti? I believe we started one this year, right, Mrs. Muto?
Yes, I can talk to you about that. That's actually a tradition that we really admire from especially our all-girls schools. We know that that's a really strong tradition. And that's something I've always admired about the other archdiocesan schools. And our students have presented an interest in as well. So especially with the coronavirus, we felt that our students would really benefit from that program. So that is something that we are actually in the midst of starting right now at our school and would definitely like to continue. So some version of that we would like to continue definitely in the upcoming years.
Thank you. And I had a question. If a student transfers in the middle of the year, will all their credits and classes transfer? So how I would answer that is it would be our recommendation that you wait to transfer for the start of next school year. We have thought it over, we've gone over everything, and in light of everything going on with COVID and our hybrid schedule and the difficulty of placing students in classes at this point in the year, and just starting fresh and getting a really good experience at Newman Goretti as a new student, we would recommend waiting till the fall to start. We think it would just give you the best experience. It would give you the opportunity to finish out your current school year, to finish the classes you've already started. So if you are really committed to transferring at the halfway point, we are certainly open to talking to you about it, but we would strongly recommend waiting until the fall to start at Newman Goretti. Let's see. Someone said their daughter is currently a junior. How and when will she choose her classes for senior year? So like we said, we would prefer that you register by February 19th so that we can work with you through our course selection process. And I'll let Mr. Quigley and Ms. Muto talk about when that typically takes place.
I'll take it. So it typically takes place in the late winter, early spring. We are going to be working closely with the Office of Catholic Education. So we are also awaiting for like their timeline expectations for us. And, and that will ultimately dictate the actual dates, deadlines that we meet. But typically it's late winter, early spring is when we're doing course selection. So it does align with that like February 19th registration. That's truly the purpose of that is like Ms. Edwards said, is, I want to reinforce that that's a very transparently that at least from our seat at the school level, that is the purpose of that early registration. I'm typically in charge of all transfer interviews in a normal school year under normal circumstances. Or I do them all. I shouldn't say I'm in charge. Ms. Evers is in charge and she lines them all up for me. We have a strong history of transitioning transfers successfully to New Goretti. What I would like to see more than anything different than that usual process is for our Hallahan and McDevitt students under these circumstances is normally that's what I'm doing in the summer. And then we meet, and like Ms. Everett said, I go over the courses are set and the classes are in with the students that picked them. And then we go, and then we match it up with what you had. And that's happening in the summer. There's nothing more than I would like to see for the students that come to Hallahan and McDevitt is that although I think we treat transfers well, I don't consider you transfers. This is a unique circumstance, and I think you deserve a different type of experience with course selection where you really get to participate in it as if you're a student at our school already. And that's really going to help us build, often what happens in course selection, quick lesson in course selection. What's happening on the back end is so Mrs. Muto and I go to the faculty, we start this process this month, actually next Friday. And we go to the faculty and we're like, all right, wish list time. What do you want to teach next year? And, because, every teacher has that thing that they're dying to teach and they're just waiting for the opportunity to teach it and enough kids to want to take it. And, and we get that wish list going. And then I always have secret plans in the back of my head, and Mrs. Muto has her own. And this is kind of our creative time when it comes to the academic part of the school. And we start, exploring what new things we're going to do at AP and dual enrollment for the following year to keep those programs growing. And we put that all together. We put course selection together. Father Dalton, he's the school minister, but he's also in the background, helping us with so much stuff on the academic side because he's been a principal and a president, and he's super great with tech. Everybody on this call is working together, and we put together course selection. And often what happens is you're putting out these courses that you don't know if kids are going to take, and you need a certain amount of kids in a class. And I would love for the students that come from Hallahan and McDevitt to have a chance to determine whether certain classes are offered next year that we're kind of throwing out there as like to teach, but we don't know if they're going to catch on and if we're going to be able to offer them. And you really need those numbers of interest from the students before you even go to next steps of okay, then I got to make a big roster and set up the teachers to teach it, right? And make sure I could have enough teachers to teach all my classes. That all happens in the summer. I really would like the Hallahan and McDevitt students to come to us to have a say in the numbers that dictate what classes we prioritize, especially electives, to make sure that we have. So sorry if that was a little bit long-winded, but that's why I think it's, I'm just hearing my feeling is and I know we're on a webinar and not actually talking directly to people, but I just feel if my school just closed and you told me that I got to make a decision I should make a decision by February 19th about where I'm going in the same school system, that probably wouldn't sit with me that great as a parent, and I would feel pushed, right? But please know at the school level on the receiving end, there's good intentions on it. There's a good reason why that's in place. All right, sorry. I'll go to the next question.
No, I think that was all really good information to share. This is kind of related. Would we recognize and try to match Hallahan's graduation requirements for juniors in honors courses? I think the short answer was, I'll let you guys take it, but I think is yes. If you're on track for graduation at your current school, you're on track for graduation here, and we'll try to continue your current roster as it makes sense.
Yeah. So Juliana, right? So I think we probably have to have a more specific, I think I would need a more specific question. I think the answer is yes, but I want to make sure I'm answering your exact question correctly. I don't know if you're asking if I'm in honors, will I be in honors in that subject in the next year? Or if you're asking I don't know if Hallahan has some other requirement that I'm not thinking of. So we'd be glad to have an offline, more specific conversation to make sure you get the answer to that question. But in general, like Ms. Muta did in her presentation, we usually offer the complement of honors courses offered across the high schools are typically super similar. So
and we had a question, do we know the actual date in March for cheerleading tryouts? I don't believe we know the actual date. It's usually mid-March. Obviously, COVID will determine that as well. I know last year they did virtual tryouts. It was pretty creative. They sent out a video of what the girls needed to learn. The girls then had to send back a video of themselves performing, and they did that. I'm not sure what they're planning to do this year, but as soon as we have that information, we'll send it out to all students who are registered for next year. So we'll keep you in the loop on that. Let's see. How will you know if your child's accepted into Newman Goretti? As long as you do that application online and submit the first quarter report card, once that's complete, you'll get an email from us saying we've reviewed it, you're good to register, and you'll have the link available to register. So it's a pretty straightforward process. If you've uploaded your report card and haven't heard from us, just shoot me a quick email so I can make sure that something's not missing or we didn't miss something on our end. But really, as long as you do your application and your report card, expect an email, I would say, within a few days with instructions for registering for next year. Uniforms for incoming seniors. Are incoming seniors required to wear Newman Goretti uniforms?
I'll take that one. Okay. So we anticipate that. I want to answer the question as sensitively as possible because I understand, especially the higher the grade level you are, and I want to be very transparent, like Mr. McColgan said, help you make the best decision for you. So I want to be very, I can be very clear, but then offer something. We are expecting all students in Newman Goretti to wear the Newman Goretti uniform next school year, no matter where they're transferring from. And part of that reason is we want to work really hard to strike this balance so that you have the best experience next year possible. And I'm very conscious of, I don't want to create an atmosphere where you could honor the legacy of your current school, but also feel like you're a part of the new community and not an add-on to it, or something separate while you're here, because that would never give you a complete experience. And our goal for any transfer student is to give you the complete experience, the best complete experience that we could give you. And but that also means meeting you where you are in your experience. And we realize that this is very special circumstances. So I know there's going to be challenging questions once people register about really detailed questions that probably, and a lot of them, I think this is one of those types of questions, right? So I think something that I'm definitely willing to offer is, and I want to do for our students to transfer, is we're very committed as a school community to have a transition committee that would start, I would say, late spring and go into the summer for all students that are registered from Hallahan and McDevitt. And I would imagine, I envision that committee consisting of student and parent representatives from those schools and student and adult representatives from the Newman Goretti community, and really flushing out how we could really honor the legacies of your schools in a way that helps you continue, and ultimately, we're responsible for continuing your development as a teenager and your entry into adulthood. And we want to keep you whole and safe and feeling great about yourself in that process. And I think a transition committee will help us get through these tougher questions. And you know what I mean? And some people think, oh, it's a uniform. Well, it's not just a uniform to you, right? So we want to meet everyone where they're at and work through these tougher questions of of how we can make you feel a whole part of New Mingaretti so you have the best experience you can, but also keep what you're bringing with you in a really special way. So we're committed to working through those tougher questions, and we think a committee is honestly the best way to, I wouldn't be being honest if I gave you the final answer to that question right now. That would be more of a sales pitch. I really want to be honest and say, like, you're going to be wearing a New Mingaretti uniform, but maybe in our committee, we think of something that is uniform related that keeps you remembering what your time at Hallahan. That's the best answer I could give, best honest answer I could give right now.
Thanks, Mr. Quigley. I think that's a really helpful answer. And I think that's the right answer for a lot of questions that will come up throughout this process, is we want to work with you to come to an answer together on some of these things. Just a quick question. What are the staff's emails? You can find all of our emails on our website. If you go to the New Mingaretti website under the About section, you'll see faculty and staff directory. All our emails are there. For the most part, it's the first letter of our first name, our full last name at newmangarettihs.org. But just go to the website. Everything is there. Mr. Thompson, who was one of our ACE fellows, has now continued on as our website manager, and he's done a phenomenal job redoing our website over the last year and a half or so, and we're really proud of it. So take a look at it if you haven't already. One question, this is really relevant in these times. What is the school's thoughts on mental health, and how supportive are the staff in that? And I'm going to let Mr. Quigley or Mrs. Muto answer that. They have a better handle on that.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. So I think I'd like to talk about how Mrs. Muto touched on our guidance department. So I think the best way to answer that is to kind of give more information about the size of our guidance department and how we work with them. So and I guess let me just recognize the question at hand. The question is, what are your thoughts on mental health? And that's a pretty big question. So I think I would like to answer that by saying, like, of course we recognize that mental health, and I'm making an assumption that that's related to the current school environment. And if that's an incorrect assumption, throw that into the chat. But I do think that outside of current conditions, the mental health of a teenager is something that all educators need to be very well aware of and attuned to best serve a student while they're in their formative high school years. So and this is a critical time to be attuned to that. So I think for the purpose of this call, like, please know that that at New Mingaretti, that's our attitude towards the mental health of our students in general. That we know that there's an acute need right now to be attuned to that, but that we see that as a need regardless of the pandemic and all other issues going on in our world at this time. So some services that we have that I think maybe I think you could let me know if I'm talking out of turn, but our schools of we're a little bit larger than Hallahan and McDevitt, but you wouldn't, I don't know the numbers at your school, but I do think that we have a larger than average guidance department. So I don't think that was by accident, because we have our guidance counselor has a full-time director. We also direct, every school has government funding that they receive, especially in the city schools. So every school has government funding. In the city schools, you get through certain agencies, and and you can use it in a variety of ways. We choose to use a nice portion of those of that funding and we request 2 additional full-time guidance counselors. So at our school, we have 3 full-time guidance counselors, including the director. And in addition to that, we're also a recipient of a grant that places a full-time social worker at our school. And I don't know if your schools have social workers, and that's a compliment to the guidance department that we're really proud of. So our guidance team is 4 full-time members, and we're really proud to be able to offer that in a city archdiocesan high school. They divvy up not only college application and going process and career readiness, but they also divvy up social, emotional, and academic needs of our student body. They divide it up by grade level amongst themselves, and then they also will have specialties, such as a social worker gets involved when there's more complex issues at home, and another one of the counselors specializes in certain types of at-risk mental health issues, and we create. Also, a member of my guidance team also runs my at-risk team. So we have an at-risk team at Newman-Goretti, and our guidance team runs that. So we run a data-driven at-risk team that we've developed over the last 2 years at Newman-Goretti, where we use the school data and numbers, but also anecdotal data and referrals to help identify students and provide interventions at a quicker pace as needed. And a lot of times those may involve mental health concerns. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Mr. Quigley. And as far as I'm seeing, those are all the questions. If you have any final questions, please drop them in the chat or the Q&A now. But in lieu of any other questions, I would just like to thank everyone for taking the time tonight to be with us to learn about our school, especially knowing that there's a lot going on outside of our little bubble today. We appreciate you spending some time with us, and we hope we're able to give you a lot of the information you need for this decision. But I also want to emphasize that this is the start of the conversation, not the end of it. So please, please stay in contact with us. We are here to help with this process. I am always available by email or phone for any questions at all. If you want to talk in more depth about anything, just shoot me an email so that we can set that up. We're happy to set up one-on-one Zooms with you to give you more information. If you want to talk to current students to really get a sense of the environment, we can work something out in that way, since we're not doing shadow visits right now. Really, whatever we can do to help you with this decision, we want to do. So please stay in touch. Please reach out. We're here for you to help with this decision, and we look forward to continuing to work with you, and we hope to really talk with you soon. So thank you for being with us tonight. We look forward to continuing the conversation, and we hope you have a safe and healthy night and rest of the school year.